Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Talia Carter and I'm sitting here with Patricia Vogler, one of the leads for buffaloboneart and magnetics. We're going to describe to you today some of the details that go into producing these fine quality products and just how long this family has been involved in this art business. Tell me, Patricia, how long have you guys been working with Buffalo Bone?
My family, of course, are Indian descent, Choctaw and Chickasaw. We've worked with the bone well over 40 years now, in one form or another. It takes a lot of processing to get it processed to a finished product. Probably 5 or 6 different processes of handwork from beginning to end. We work with the ranchers that raise for meat, so we take what's left and make good use of all of it, which to our Indian heritage is a good thing.
Of course, as we all know, the Native Americans were well known for using every last bit of the buffalo. The sinew, the tendons, the bones, for just about everything. How many different products do you guys produce from the bone?
Oh, goodness. Several hundred at least. We do 4 sizes of sculpturing. We do full lines of men and women's jewelry, both in the Indian styles with the chokers and wristbands and things of that nature, hairpieces, buckles, bolos, money clips in men's things, necklaces, bracelets, earrings, talismans, pipes, all of the native lore. We do some of the prayer bands and some of those things too that are more sacred to some of the tribes.
Okay. What is the piece that holds the most meaning to you?
Well, of course, everyone I think has an affinity that they're drawn to. My elders in the tribe would call that your animal spirit guide. I have more of an earthbound spirit, and I draw more to the earthbound things. But when I see that eagle, that just does things to me. And being buffalo bone, all the buffaloes too there's nothing more majestic than a buffalo herd, and the power and the sustenance that goes into that kind of thing, and recreating that so that you can see it and feel it is a treasure. And our guys have been able to do that.
I've got to say personally that there's beautiful, beautiful work out there. I personally own several pieces.
Thank you.
Of your work. What got you started working the bone?
I've always wanted to work with the jewelry end, of course, and putting some of the bone pieces into the jewelry side of that is fun for me. The bone sculpturing and pieces of that came actually from my great-grandfather. He would sculpture anything, whether it be out of wood, out of pecan shells, out of anything he could get his hands on. He was always making something from nothing, and the love of the work came from there. And my brothers started with it, and then my husband and my son, and we just worked in perfecting it over the years and making it much, much better.
Have you always used just buffalo bone for your work?
As a matter of fact, we really haven't. There were years that we didn't have as much access to it because they weren't raising it to eat. And so the pieces that we had, we used for sacred purposes, for our talismans and our pipes and things of that nature. Then once we were able to have plenty of access, then we began to use it for everything. But in the early years, we used cattle bone for the general run of things, as opposed to the buffalo bone.
Cattle bone was more prevalent at a certain point, I'm sure, with the way the buffalo herds were decimated in the 1800s. When did you guys get into the magnetic part?
Actually, when my first husband became ill, he was terminally ill for 6 years, and we began to work with the magnetics for his health purposes. He had lost all feeling in the bottoms of his feet and legs due to emphysema and cancer, and we were able to get some feeling back for him with the magnetics, which was amazing because we tried for 2 years medically and got nothing. And within 2 weeks, even though he had been immobile and had no feeling at all, we had feeling again. And even in the last days of cancer, when he was bedridden, the morphine couldn't touch that screaming bone pain that he had, and we were able to relieve that with magnetics. And that's when I knew, in the worst of circumstances, it can help you if you wear it. But you've got to have the right kind. You don't want the man-made magnets, which is the hematite. You want the natural lodestone, and that's what I work with. And it's a little harder to find, so because it is a little more expensive, but well worth the price. And what you would spend on medications and the other things of that nature, all of them having terrible side effects. And so just what it can bring to the people, I feel led to create that. And being a jewelry designer, I love to make it beautiful. Anytime you should need to wear something every day, it needs to look good. So that's part of my purpose in trying to create something attractive.
So would you say that on the buffalo bone end, it's more of a spiritual type of jewelry or pieces?
Some
versus
of it in the designing, you get into a spiritual realm because it's the majesticness of what you're creating or what you've got in the piece. The fact that we use the natural gemstones and the beadwork is all natural, whether it be shell or bone or horn or whatever we're using. We work with the natural things, and to me those are God-given gifts. That beauty, it can't be achieved any other way, and when you can put it together and He allows you to use it in a special way, I feel like I'm sharing some of that with whoever wears it, and that's a privilege for me.
So a little piece of you goes into each piece that you send out.
Sure, I think that's a true thing of every designer, and every person who creates a work of art gives part of themselves and the talents. And as I feel through my faith, I think God gives you those talents for a reason, and they're meant to be shared.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, as we all know, the magnetics are just they come with pre-drilled holes, and you string them.
Right.
With your turquoise, which also contains pre-drilled holes. Now, your buffalo bone work, what kind of work goes into the processes on that?
Well, basically, some things they have to do, they have to remove the bone marrow, which because they cannot legally cross state lines with it unless it's USDA inspected. Buffalo bone is a suspect carrier of brucellosis, which is a cattle disease. So to eliminate that and be sure that there's not any of that kind of problem, we do get rid of the bone marrow first, and we crush it. Then we work it into a rough casting. It's not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. You then have to go in and detail it out. They do that with the diamond drill bit and the Dremel. Then they do the polishing and the finishing part, and then they do the engraving. All of our pieces are signed or engraved to let you know that they are handwork from beginning to end.
Okay, do you have any limited edition pieces?
We have had some in the past, and we're just not set up to do as much of that because we're trying to keep the price where the general public can afford it. And sometimes when you get into that realm where you're doing limited pieces and numbering and all that kind of thing, it shoots that price up where the general public can't afford it. And we want to be able to share with everybody. I think one of the things we've always, over the years, kept our small animals and things that we do at a price even the kids can afford it. And they appreciate art too, and they too get tired of picking something up that they spend their hard-earned chore money for, and having it come from overseas or someplace else like that, and knowing that it's not supporting our country and our foundations, and we need desperately in this time to be able to do this.
Yeah, we don't have enough of supporting our own economy. That much is for certain.
Yeah.
And it's really good to see artists out there who are making stuff here in the U.S. and it's being sold and bought by the U.S. consumers. What kind of guarantees do you have on your products?
Well, anytime there's a problem with anything, we stand behind it 100%. That's not to say if you go out and toss it around and break it that we're going to replace it. But if you get it and it has a flaw in it or something that we didn't catch, which sometimes that can happen, certainly we're going to make that good. And with our magnetics, anytime you wear something day in and day out, whatever it's strung on is going to
wear out.
Going to wear out, basically. And I don't mind to replace those anytime and then string them so that you have a piece that you know you're going to have from now on and be able to wear and be more healthful because you're going to do that.
Okay.